Hey folks, Lucero here to break down and discuss the patch notes for Season 2 of the Bazaar, which went live just earlier today. While the patch notes are extensive, and you can see that our sliding scroller over here is extremely small, just highlighting how, if you look at the top, I guess you're right. I think when you're watching, it's probably still your right. It's just tiny, and that's because of how you can see it moving. I mean, it's a ton of detail on these items, but fortunately, a lot of the items are actually sweeping changes, so it's not going to take us as long to talk about these as it might in some other videos where like it's just a huge patch and there's lots of changes. Um, Number one, Radiant was removed from tons of items. Scrolling through this list, it looks like most of them were like neutral items or items that had no use effect, like Crow's Nest was one of them. Radiant's been removed. Um, Lots of start a fight items have had Radiant removed. Uh, and so that seems like kind of sensible. However, because like, why should a slow target an item that doesn't really have a use effect? However, when we go through some of these, we'll see if I'm wrong here, but a lot of those items do have enchants that make them have a use. Maybe they've reworked those to where it's like for instance, Crow's Nest, I think is like when you crit, burn 3. It's still not a use effect on the Crow's Nest part, right? Like, so removing Radiant from those, I suppose, is a good thing. Another sweeping change that we're going to talk about. This is really just kind of a quality of life change, I think, for both devs as they're programming new items and things, as well as for readers of items. Across the board, regeneration has been relabeled just regen. They are embracing abbreviations at the Bazaar. We all know what regen is. We all know what crit is. We don't need it spelled out, right? So, every single item that had regeneration on it, there is an item on this patch notes for it getting changed to regen. So it's important to be exhaustive, but it's more dense than it actually is because of the nature of those sorts of changes. One more sweeping change that was made. There weren't a ton of items this affected, but really just in one of the last two patches, I think they made this change on certain items where uh, like a flagship for one. I think I wonder if I'm getting the right item, but it had like this multicast effect on some of its enchantments that said, like your friends have blank, like your friends poison 3 or something, but plus have their cooldowns increased by 2, and then at the next level up, it would be by 1. Um, Maybe flagship's not the right item, but anyhow, that and their cooldowns increase language has been removed. The robotic factory is one that was like that. Like the robotic factory was overpowered. They nerfed it by adding that cooldown increase. It's like a trade-off for the multicast it gives to friends. And now they've removed it again. Maybe because they know that like some of the new items they're adding are so powerful that they need to bring those items back up to a level that's going to be competitive. That would be my guess. Um, and we're going to scroll through this some. It's so dense that we're probably not going to scroll through all of it, but maybe we'll come across some of those other ones. Like as it comes to my mind, Robotic Factory was definitely one of them. There were a handful of others in the game. Increased by 2 has been removed completely. Like it was a trade-off on the power level, and they've removed that trade-off. So those items are just strong again. 3. One more category of item that saw significant changes is monster fight items. Items that you might win from a boss fight. Uh, Many of those also had Radiant removed. Some of them were reworked in other ways. We'll probably take a look at some of those. Like you can see Arkan's Ring right here is at the top. So we'll look at that one. That's just another thing where I guess they saw they needed to do some adjustments and fine tune some power level stuff. The other kind of really big one that I noticed going through here is Pygmalien. With that change throughout the whole game of regeneration to regen, they have also really sought to make Pygmalion a kind of a regen guy with a lot of his healing items. Um, this includes items like Tea Set, You Wash a Wally Bird, Vineyard. They all had their healing effects. Like in You Wash a Wally's case, it still has a heal, but it also adds regen. And with the multicast, that can get pretty big. I would call that's a buff. Tea Set was also buffed, like its scaling was changed. And Vineyard, maybe we'll look at it. It was reworked as well to regen focus. As I said, so is Money Tree. So it's very clear that the devs want to see some of Pig's like healing capabilities and restorative, like kind of shieldy builds, survival builds. They want to see it go into a regen pattern very clearly. 3. Another hero that saw um, some buffs, I would say, is Mac, because once again, because of the changes to regen. So they've done some rescaling and retooling on the way that some of the poison regen items interact that Mac has available to him. That's another big one. There are a couple of minor buffs and nerfs to Vanessa that we'll get into. But those large overarching ones, that just about covers those. And as we're going to scroll through the website here, and you'll see some. And we'll see what we can jump around to, because it's too exhaustive to go through all of it. But yeah, we covered the big stuff. That's like, it's in a broad sweeping sense. That's what changed in the patch. There are also details on. It seems to be 3 sets of new items. It looks like there's new Vanessa items. There's definitely new pig items. I already got the expansion through the reward track. In straight up, like it's 3,000 gems to buy it, or you can spend $20 to unlock the tiers, and the gems cost $30 if you don't earn them. I have earned them, but I was like, oh, I can save those for something else. So I went out and spent $20 to unlock the expansion, and technically saved $10. So something to think about there. But there are definitely new Vanessa items. I saw a couple in game, and there are new Mac items. I haven't played him yet, and I don't see them like listed as an expansion or anything. I'm not sure they're live. I've ran into some Mac builds, didn't see new items, but they are detailed in here as well. So here's Arkan. So that's Arkan's ring. I've gotten that a couple times. Basically, this gives you some more prestige. It's kind of useless after Feign Death, but if you can get it before Feign Death, it can extend your run some. And now it like is kind of acts like a neutral item from Curio. It buffs one of your items depending on what it's enchanted with. Broken Shackles was another. So I think these are mostly like neutral and yeah, common items, but a lot of them were boss items. Broken Shackles is from a monster fight. Citrus just got the regen change. This is a big buff to Cosmic Plumage here, right? Like, it's quite strong now. And you get that from like, it's like it's the bronze tier monster, right? So Cosmic Rock, I think its name is. Here's our first instance of Radiant being removed. This is a curio item. This was just I think this was just an error here. I'm not sure that yeah, like, did it actually give 2, or was it just a tooltip error? I'm not sure. I felt like it only gave 1. Regen change. Oh yeah, player. Any instance that said player, it's now been changed to hero. Minor. Lots of regen stuff. This is different. Like, it's really just kind of a wording change. Destroy this and 3 small enemy items for the fight. When this is destroyed, do this. But now also when you use another tech, it charges it. This is just a little wording change to make it more clear. I don't find anything. I write something that I do professionally, so I don't have an issue with either of these. I thought it was fine, but it's also the new writing is also appropriate. Here's some ton of Radiant stuff getting removed. This is just a rework to the way Radiant, it makes more sense with duct tape, because its actual use effect is a item to the left thing, so all of its enchantments should also be, and they've made that change. Here's the change to forklift, pretty big. Static 100 damage now, so that's kind of a buff. Change the way that it works here. It's late, folks. I apologize for the yawns. Doing this before bed. Just had a 10-win run. Called it a night. But I want to get this review and breakdown out for you guys in the morning. Lens become. Oh yeah, so that was one of the focuses I noticed with the Dooley items is like making more stuff tech oriented. So they're kind of trying to, Dooley's going to have his power drill builds. There's going to be friend builds. There's going to be burn builds. Um, there's going to be nanobot builds. They're not as strong, but that's still going to happen. There's going to be Dualtron builds, charging builds with the core, or shielded builds. Crowd control, like just regular control. Like those things are still going to exist, but they want to increase the prevalence of tech builds clearly, because a lot of these items are tech changes. Charge the tech item to the right, and I just had these in my 10-win run tonight was a dually run, and I actually got to play with a new light bulb. I think the main thing about light bulb is that when you buy it, you get another small tech. That's actually pretty incredible. The one I got was one of the new items, and I didn't have any cause to use it. Oh, I actually think I got the Pygmalien tech item from it because it was a value based item. But oh, monitor lizard, this is I don't know what you consider this. Like the scaling is now way crazier. When this game's haste, it's like quintupled. And then it doubles and gains 5 each time. Like it's pretty wild. It's a buff for sure. Oh, and the cooldown. So that's a huge buff to monitor lizard, but poison builds aren't very strong. You might want it in your power drill build, particularly with a 5-second cooldown, but it takes up 2 slots. I don't know. I've never been a fan of Monitor Lizard. I know people have gotten 10 wins with builds using it. This is just a typo correction, It always should have said and. It doesn't make a difference in the way it worked. Power Sander got hit kind of hard actually. It's a like it makes total sense in a power drill build because it hastes the item to the right and slows the item to the left. So if you have power drill to the left of it, like power drill doesn't care because the slow charges it 2 seconds, so it's negated. But like changing the cooldown from 4 to 8 seconds, that's a pretty huge buff in my opinion. I actually had it in my run and couldn't find cause to use it. That's 8 seconds is just way too slow. So I think this item's kind of dead. Here's the robotics factory change I was talking about. You can see this in their cooldowns increased by 2, then 1. It's been removed. And that's any other item that had that. It's gone. And that's a reversion of a nerf, right? Like, so it hasn't been out there that long. This change to deadly is pretty freaking crazy too. That's a huge buff. Your friends have 25 crit chance across the board. Solar Farm just got the regen change. Oh, this is a big change here. This used to just destroy an item. Now it does a really cool virus effect where it spreads. I actually encountered this in the boss fight, a Hexia, I think it is. Maybe it might have even been a later one. Maybe Mod Squad makes use of these. But it changes the item on your player's board and one on yours into virus. And it poisons yourself or something like that. And then it spreads. So that's kind of cool in terms of flavor. That's just really neat. I don't know if it's exactly a buff or a nerf. It might make it so you maybe actually want to use the item now. I'm not sure. Apologize for the yawns. Here's a nerf of sort. Oh no, maybe once again, maybe this was just a tooltip error, right? Like here's one of the new Mac items. Previously not set because it wasn't in there. Oh, and so there is, yeah, Mac's got this poison yourself thing going on. You kind of get regen and exchange or something. And so this is the first item that we see with that. Poison yourself, poison both players, and when you poison yourself, do XYZ. There are other items in these new items for Mac that are like that. This is just a regen change. They did make some changes to some of the catalyst reagent stuff. We're not going to go into too much detail on that, but it looks like in some cases they realize that you don't get as many chances to transmute reagents now that they took reagents and replaced them with catalysts. So some stuff got made easier there in terms of like the positioning of yeah, that kind of thing. We're gonna skip these new items. Black Rose regen treatment. Here's another one. +1 multicast and the cooldowns increase. Removed. Calcinator, this is kind of wild Calcinator got buffed. Just one across each level. I'm surprised by that. Let's try and pay attention if retorts in there. Other items versus non-fire claw. That's seems more just like a name change, or like I don't know that it has any change on. I'd have to think deeper about that, and it's too late at night for me to do that right now. Another new item. Regen changes. New items. Radiant being removed. Yeah, just regen changes. Some new items. We're not going to focus on those. Now that we kind of know what most of these are about, we can scroll pretty quickly through here. This is just a regen change. Here's a buff. Retort got the same buff as Calcinator. That makes sense. These are all the same. Just regen change. Regen change. These are all regen and radiant. This is a new pig item. You can go in the game and look at those yourself. We're here to discuss changes on existing items and this is the shield item that I got. But go into the tier pass, whatever it is, click on level 30's chest, and you can look at all these items in detail in game. Buff to bandages. Here's the nerf to busy bees. I can't remember if I mentioned that or not, but I definitely meant to when I was talking about the regen changes. Yeah, see, heal changed to regen. Just a regen change. This is a nerf to fort. And that, you could kind of just, you're negating like a one weapon kills builds, like crit chance entirely. So that makes sense. Golf clubs is now a static 50. And when you heal or regen, it gains damage. So that's pretty significant. Hogwash gets the, first of all, it's buffed. Heals, but it also, its enchants are like, well, no, here, when you heal or gain regen, it gains the max health. So they're really pushing regen on pig. When you heal or gain regen, Kukri gets buffed. It's kind of significant. Ledger now has a bunch of enchants. It got the half health treatment. You still wouldn't really want to put Ledger on your board unless you don't have anything else. Here's one, big heal to regen change for lemonade stand. So they're clearly trying to push pig into a regen field, Just some enchant changes there. They nerfed Caius, which I think was worse than Calcinator to begin with. Increased its cooldown and decreased its scaling. I find that questionable. Oh, Money Tree, I got that wrong. It was actually buffed, and now heals equal to double the item's value, and its cooldown is only 3 seconds. So that's a huge buff. I don't know why I thought it got the regen treatment. Probably because everything else did. Just Radiant getting removed, regen changes, new items. Those are just the sweeping changes we spoke about. Okay, here we are. Some of the other like the healing stuff, just in regen in general, was buffed. T-set got a buff. and you also gain regen now. So it's a much stronger item. Uwashawali Bird had its healing buffed for the earlier stages and capped out lower because it's multicast up to 3/4, but it also gains regen now. That's new. Vineyard, you have plus regen equal to this item's value, as opposed to increasing the value here. Yeah, still gets the 10 item sale treatment and a truffle, so that's nice. Here's some more. This was another. Oh, that's a Stell item. Wonder when we get her. Radiant getting removed. They redid the Captain's Wheel enchant, so it's when you use the adjacent item. That's a very smart, flavorful change because it ties in with how this item currently works. Custom Scope's a new item that looks interesting. I haven't seen it yet. Got the Radiant treatment through here. Oh, 11 depth charge got nerfed. It's down to the half-second treatment, same like the Friends for Dooley. And that's significant because when this thing was multicast 8 or some shit, it froze and froze you out of the fight and you just died to its poison and burn. Very uncool. Now it's a half-second. You might get out of it long enough to survive. Figurehead's Deadly Chant was nerfed, 5%, not a huge deal. Holster's got the regen treatment. Iceberg was nerfed. It's from a -100 to -50 now. Illuso Ray's Deadly Enchantment got buffed. Katana got nerfed. This was an important one, because Katana took up 2 item slots. They had it 2 items for 1 second on slow and haste. Those have been nerfed to 1 second or to 1 item. That's an appropriate change because of its 2-second cooldown. It's simply too much haste and slow to have it doing 2 items. So good nerf. Mantis Shrimp got buffed. It scales more damage here now, but Shark Claws no longer gains its own damage. It only does other weapons. See here? So, little hit to Vanessa weapon builds with Shark Claws. Mantis Shrimp is stronger. Here's another. Oh, it was Shipwreck, not Flagship, that had the cooldown increase. That's gone. These are all just Radiant removals. Tortuga, this is one of the big new items for Vanessa. It's pretty cool looking. Giant turtle. Does a lot of damage. Regen treatment. Radiant removal. Oh, tons of skill changes here. We're not going to... A lot of them are the, player to hero change that we talked about. These are probably too exhaustive to go through. Regen change on that one. A lot of them are regen changes, health changes. Staying the same, just terminology changes here. Ignition was removed. I'm trying to remember what it was. Was it like I think it was like kind of a monster skill that was an additional fiery or something, but it's gone. I think some of these might be new, or I've just never seen them. But once again, heal to regen, reworks, pop-up shop gone. Don't remember that one. Oh wait, no, this is a new one. Regen change. Really not much to look at here. That's kind of it, but tons of skill changes with just wording. Sweeping changes to like radiant removal, sweeping changes to regen, major changes to Pygmalien and its healing powers. He's now kind of a regen guy. Some changes to Mac that impacted the way that the poisons and regen interacted. And then a handful of buffs to Vanessa items, a handful of nerfs, some nerfs to some Dooley items. That's really what you're looking at. That's the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. I'm enjoying making these patch videos. I'm going to keep doing them, but I'm enjoying the gameplay even more. So come check me out on Twitch at LuceroHS. I got to figure out this whole like dual casting to YouTube thing because I'd like to do that. But thanks for watching and tuning in. I appreciate it. Have a good one, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.